Welcome to month 2 of the Bistec Hearts Academy engineer track. Last month, you built your testing skills. Today, you're going to build something that powers real applications. We're diving into APIs, how to design them, how to build them with Express, JS, how to connect them to PostgreSQL, and how to secure them with JWT authentication. By the end of this session, you'll have a working backend API that you built yourself. This is the kind of thing you'll use in every serious project from here forward. Here's what today looks like. 4 hours split into theory and hands-on work. The focus is REST APIs, specifically building them with Express, JS and PostgreSQL. The challenge is called Blog Flow API. You'll build a blog platform backend with 15 or more endpoints, 3 resources, and full authentication. The goal is a complete documented API by the end of the session. 5 concrete things you'll be able to do by the time the session is done. First, you'll design and build RESTful APIs with Express, JS, following industry best practices. Second, you'll implement CRUD operations against a PostgreSQL database with proper relationships and indexes. Third, you'll add robust input validation and consistent error handling patterns. Fourth, you'll document your API using Swagger and the OpenAPI specification. And fifth, you'll implement secure authentication with JWT tokens and bcrypt password hashing. These aren't abstract concepts. Every one of these you'll actually code today. Before writing code, let's ground ourselves in the fundamentals. REST stands for Representational State Transfer, an architectural style, not a protocol. When an API is RESTful, it follows a set of constraints that make it predictable and easy to consume. The core ideas are simple. Resources are things, users, posts, comments, and they're identified by URLs. Operations on those resources map to HTTP methods: get to read, post to create, put to update, delete to remove. Every request is stateless, meaning the server doesn't remember anything about previous requests. Resource-based URLs mean you use nouns, not verbs. It's /ap/posts, not /getAllPosts. Status codes communicate what happened. 200 means success, 21 means created, 400 means bad input from the client, 401 means unauthorized, and 404 means not found. Versioning, putting v1 in your URL path, lets you evolve your API without breaking existing clients. Express. JS is the most widely used Node.js framework for building APIs. It's minimal, fast, and gives you everything you need without locking you in. Good project structure matters more than most people realize. Separate your concerns. Controllers hold the business logic. Routes define the endpoints. Middleware handles cross-cutting concerns like authentication and error handling. Models describe your data, and utils hold shared helpers. The middleware pipeline is the heart of Express. Every request flows through it in order: CORS handling first, then JSON body passing, then your auth middleware for protected routes, then your routers, and finally the error handler. The error handler in Express uses a special 4-argument function: error, request, response, next, place last. It catches any error passed to next from anywhere in your handlers and turns it into a consistent JSON response. Today's challenge is to build the Blogflow API, a backend for a blog platform. 3 resources: users, posts, and comments. They relate to each other. Posts belong to users. Comments belong to both posts and users. You'll implement 15 or more REST endpoints covering full CRUD with pagination and filtering on list endpoints. Authentication uses JWT tokens with bcrypt password hashing and protected root middleware. You'll submit 5 deliverables: the API project, the SQL schema, a Postman collection, Swagger docs, and a README. This is a real project, the kind you'd build in a job interview or on your first week at a company. We always start with the database. Get your schema right first. It's much harder to change later. Your task in the first 20 minutes. Create the users, posts, and comments tables with proper relationships. Users have an email, a hashed password, a name, and a bio. Posts have a title, content, an author reference back to the users table, and a publish flag. Comments reference both the post they're on and the user who wrote them. After creating the tables, add indexes. Index the authored column on posts and the posted column on comments. These are your most common join conditions. Without indexes, list queries slow down fast as your data grows. Set up connection pooling with pgpool and seed your database with at least 5 users, 20 posts, and 50 comments so you have real data to work with during development. Part 2 is where you build the actual API. 15 or more endpoints across 3 resources, auth and users, registration, login, get current user profile, and update profile. Posts, list or get one, create, update, delete. Comments, list by post, create, delete. Authentication requirements. Registration and login are public. No token needed. All profile and content operations require a valid JWT. Update and delete operations verify ownership. You can only modify your own content. For list endpoints, implement pagination using page and limit query parameters. Return total count and total pages in your response so clients know how to navigate through large datasets. Every response from your API should follow the same format without exception. Success responses: wrap your data in an object with the success field set to true and a data field containing the result. Error responses set success to false and include an error object with a machine-readable code, a human-readable message, and optional details for things like validation errors. For paginated list endpoints, include a pagination object alongside the data, current page limit, total item count, and total page count. Consistent formatting makes your API predictable. Front-end developers, mobile developers, and API testing tools can reliably pass your responses. And when something goes wrong, the error code tells you exactly what happened: validation error, unauthorized, not found, and so on. Authentication is 30 minutes. This is where a lot of bugs happen, so let's be precise. The security checklist: hash passwords with bcrypt using 10 rounds. Never store plain text. Validate and decode JWT tokens in middleware. Apply that middleware to protected routes. Check ownership on update and delete operations. Apply rate limiting to prevent abuse. 100 requests per minute is a reasonable starting point. Sanitize all inputs. The auth middleware pattern: extract the bearer token from the authorization header. If there's no token, return 401 immediately. If there is a token, verify it with JW type. Verify using your secret. If verification succeeds, attach the decoded user to requeue. Users so downstream handlers know who's making the request. If it fails, invalid signature or expired token, return 401. Store your JWT secret in environment variables. Never hardcode secrets in your source code. Let's walk through the complete authentication flow step by step. Registration: the client sends email, password, and name to post/ap/auth/register. You validate the input, hash the password with bcrypt, store the user, and return success. Login: the client sends email and password. You look up the user by email, compare the submitted password against the stored hash using bcrypt, compare, and if it matches, generate a JWT token and return it. From that point on, every authenticated request includes the token in the authorization header as bearer followed by the token. Your auth middleware validates the token using JWT verify, and if everything checks out, attaches the decoded payload to requeue user. A few important points about JWT. The payload is base64 encoded, not encrypted. Anyone who gets the token can read its contents, so never put sensitive data in the payload. The signature prevents tampering. If someone modifies the payload, the signature won't match. Always set an expiration on your tokens. 24 hours is a reasonable default for a web API. Documentation is 20 minutes, and it matters more than most beginners realize. A working API that no one can figure out how to use is essentially useless. Swagger and OpenAPI let you describe your API in a standard format that tools can render into interactive documentation. Document every endpoint, what parameters it accepts, what the request body looks like, and what responses it can return for each status code. Your Postman collection should have every endpoint organized by resource, all users, hosts, comments. Use environment variables for the base URL and the auth token, so you can switch between local and deployed environments by changing a single variable. Add test scripts to assert on status codes and response structure. A few patterns to follow and a few to avoid. Always start with the database schema and get relationships right before writing a single route. Set up error middleware early so every handler has consistent error responses from the beginning. Keep your routes thin. Route files should only call controller functions, not contain business logic. Validate all inputs. Express Validator and Joy are excellent for this. And document as you build, not after. What to avoid? Don't put business logic directly in route handlers. Don't skip input validation. Assume every incoming request could be malicious. Don't leak internal error messages or stack traces to clients. Log them server-side and return a generic error to the client. Never store plain text passwords, and never hardcode your JWT secret or database credentials in your source code. The final hour is for presenting, reviewing, and reflecting. First, a live demonstration. Walk through your API using Postman. Show registration, login, creating a post, listing posts with pagination, adding a comment, and deleting something. Show what happens when you hit a protected endpoint without a token, and show what a validation error response looks like. Next comes code review. Share your project structure, talk through your design decisions, and discuss the security choices you made. You'll see different approaches to the same problem, and that's valuable. Finally, a retrospective. What clicked, what was harder than expected, and what you do differently. This reflection is how learning becomes lasting. 5 deliverables, all required. Use the naming convention shown. Your name, dash, month to, dash, the deliverable type. 1. Your complete node, JS API project as a zip file. 2. The PostgreSQL schema as a SQL file with all table definitions. 3. Your Postman collection exported as JSON. 4. Your Swagger OpenAPI spec as a YAML file. 5. A README with setup and run instructions. Another developer should be able to clone your repo and get it running using only your README. 100 points total across 6 categories. Endpoint completeness is worth 25 points, the largest single chunk. All 15 or more endpoints need to work with the correct HTTP methods and return the right responses. Database design is 20 points. Proper schema, relationships, and indexes. Authentication is 20 points. JWT working correctly, protected routes enforced, and owner-only checks in place. Documentation is 15 points. Your Swagger spec should be complete and your Postman collection usable by someone who didn't write it. Error handling is 10 points. Consistent response format throughout with appropriate HTTP status codes. Code quality is the final 10 points. Clean structure, controllers separated from routes, reusable middleware. Before month 3, complete these milestones. They're how you turn today's 4-hour session into real-world skills. Build a front end, React or that consumes your Blockflow API. This forces you to think about cause, authentication flows, and how your response format feels from the consumer's perspective. Add pagination, filtering, and sorting to all your list endpoints. Implement a Redis caching layer for frequently accessed posts. This introduces caching patterns that are critical at scale. Deploy your API to Heroku or Railway with a CI/CD pipeline. Complete the REST API design best practices course, and write comprehensive integration tests for all your endpoints. Each of these will come up in technical interviews. They're worth your time. That's month 2. You designed a data model, built a REST API with Express and PostgreSQL, secured it with JWT authentication, documented it with Swagger, and tested it with Postman. Every application needs a backend. You're building it now. The skills you practice today, resource design, authentication, validation, documentation, are the same ones used in production systems at every scale. Keep the momentum going with your offline milestones. See you in month 3.